The main purpose in life, according to Carl Jung, has nothing to do with what you have or what you achieve, but more with who you are and how you act. Jung's philosophy teaches that to find your purpose, it is necessary to get a better understanding of who you are as a person. This requires mainly a deeper inquiry into the unconscious mind, a level of understanding that goes beyond the conscious ego, into the depths of the shadow, the unconscious. This is where all repressed aspects of your life lie. And so the purpose of your life is not something external or universal. It is unique for each individual. Here are some steps you can take to reveal your life's purpose. Number 1. Get to know your darkness. Jung says your vision will clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. Each one has a unique life meaning, depending on who they are and what they want in life. In other words, to discover your life's purpose, you need to find out who you are. Generally, people believe that once they know their strengths, weaknesses, and desires, they know themselves. But Jung teaches that to actually know yourself, you need to do what's called self-realization. As we know, each one of us has conscious and unconscious aspects of the psyche. The conscious parts include everything we already know about ourselves, but the unconscious includes the shadow, which is part of the psyche. It includes all repressed emotions, desires, and traits. The shadow has everything from loneliness, jealousy, to interests and hobbies that have been suppressed, all the things you're ashamed of or you wish to ignore. However, since these aspects reside in the unconscious, you often don't even know about their existence, especially if they have been suppressed for a long time. In that case, they won't even surface in the conscious thoughts. Besides, we tend to over-identify with a persona that is much more liked and appreciated by others. Personas can also be understood as masks we wear in different situations. Consequently, to rediscover this shadow, we need to seriously work on ourselves. This includes regular practice to step back and reflect on our thoughts, behaviors, feelings in our daily lives. This can be done in different ways, especially through journaling and meditation. This is a constant process as to why I did act the way I did. What was my first instinct in a given situation? Did I feel authentic in a specific context? If not, why? How would I feel if the roles were reversed? Basically, the process asks to question yourself, similar to how you would question someone else. The important thing to consider is that once you discover shadow aspects, you don't need to identify with them. Instead, the goal is to acknowledge the existence of these emotions, traits, and feelings, especially because they are part of the self, part of the psyche, whether we like it or not. Number 2, another method that can help us to identify the shadow is to consider everything we judge in others. This includes behaviors, traits, and actions we despise. Usually, whatever we dislike in other people are the things that we fear in ourselves. This is known as projection. So the next time you find yourself being angry or irritated by others, ask yourself if you ever exhibited these tendencies. If not, why not? Could this be a shadow trait? Jung suggests that people who harshly judge selfishness often repress their own selfish thoughts. Those who criticize impatience in others often struggle with their own impatient tendencies. Once you take some time every day to question yourself, you start to shed a bit more light on the unconscious. You will know more about yourself, This is a regular process, and as you change, there will be more to uncover. It's the main step you can take to get closer to the meaning of life. Number 3, work on yourself. Jung says, I don't aspire to be a good person. I aspire to be a whole person. After discovering more about yourself and the unconscious shadows, you are faced with the person who you truly are. Accepting all your traits can be a painful process, but ignoring those traits won't make them go away. In contrast, repressing shadow traits gives them more power. Someone who is lazy may try to hide it by working extensively, but repressed traits tend to surface, especially when someone is vulnerable. Once you get tired, repressed tendencies will resurface. People who never acknowledge their anger tend to have scary outbursts every now and then. Also, people who ignore their laziness often experience burnout. So ignoring something doesn't make it go away. On the other hand, when you know your shadow, you can work with it. When anger is repressed, it only gets a chance to express itself once the emotion intensifies to a high degree. Let's say someone treats you bad, then the anger persona takes hold of you. This way you only allow yourself to feel anger when a specific situation arises. Instead of thinking of it as a bad emotion, you can acknowledge it regardless of the situation, without categorizing it into good or bad. Anger can be a powerful emotion to get things done. Similarly, envy can be a motivator. Laziness can be a reason to rest, or impatience can make you more active. And so find creative ways to integrate those shadows into your personality rather than ignoring them. This is especially important since the shadow is not designed to punish you, but to teach you. And since these emotions and traits are here to stay, the only solution is to embrace them. This is something only you can do for yourself. You can only understand yourself better by accepting those dark aspects. Once the shadow is integrated, you will become more whole. You'll become more yourself, more balanced, more authentic, and in harmony. Number 3, take action. You are what you do, not what you say you'll do, says Carl Jung. When you know who you are, including your dark traits, and how to handle them, you have to start acting. The purpose of life won't be found in thoughts, but in actions. The idea is to achieve self-realization by doing and not by saying. Jung's advice is to not live life reactively, to initiate something. Instead of waiting for a promotion, start making a plan to pursue it. Instead of waiting for life to be meaningful, make life meaningful with your actions. Many people work on their shadow without taking this step, without taking any action. But without action, they get stuck. Sitting back and relaxing is what makes life meaningless. So how can you start living actively? The answer is by challenging yourself. It's necessary to take the time to discover the shadow through practical questions. Here are some of them. What do I believe in? Why do I? What do I want to do this year? What do I want to do in the next 5 or 10 years? How do I want to proceed? Or what do I expect from life? What do I expect from others? How do I want to contribute? Using journaling and meditation for answers will help to find the next steps. Let's say you want to publish a book, but somehow you procrastinate every time you have to sit and write. But no inspired author relies on feelings to complete a task. Since the book won't write itself, you need to discover what holds you back. If you feel stuck, try to seek advice. Use discipline or motivation to finish the work. Find your own motivation to complete the task. You can't find meaning in a reactive life. If you struggle to take action, Jung suggests to look at your fears. He says, where your fear is, there is your task. Number 4. Accept fear. Often laziness and avoidance are different versions of fear. When you have a book idea, you also have to be prepared to face disappointment and rejection. This is true for every initiative. Taking action requires bravery. Yet bravery does not mean the absence of fear. Fear cannot be avoided. It needs to be acknowledged. When you have to take an action, with fear to do so, ask yourself, why? What am I so scared of? What are the things that can go wrong? How can I deal with them? Often, fear can be contained through preparation, so analyzing the fear and dealing with the preparation can be very helpful. Rather than ignoring it, dive deep into fear. Nobody who has done anything special has done it without fear. So once you know what you're scared of, it's also that will give you meaning in life. Number 5. Accept the bad. Jung says, even a happy life cannot be without a measure of darkness. And the word happy would lose its meaning if it were not backed by sadness. Accepting the bad in life is part of finding meaning and purpose. You can never know joy until you experience sadness. Meaning depends on this contrast, similar to how there would not be any darkness without light. Or the contrast, you would never know light without darkness. And so, whenever something bad happens in your life, recontextualize, but don't despair. Focus on the things that you can change. Don't let a bad situation get to you, rather push through. Each time something happens, your reaction to it can tell you something new about yourself. Bad things can also be helpful in this sense. As Jung said, there is no light without shadow and no psychic wholeness without imperfection.